it's about yeah. So.
She's about to say something.
Will everyone have a seat, please? I want to welcome everyone to this forum, and we're going to begin because it's going to be a long one. We've had a couple of people that decided today that they could come, and one of them I worked into the schedule. The other one, we'll just have to fly by the seat of our pants, as you know. But I want to begin with our prayer, and David Peake will lead us in prayer.
All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for this day, this opportunity to come together and enjoy the freedoms that we so often take for granted. Father, I just pray that you would be with all the candidates that are here tonight and give them peace and release some stress, Father, and just thank you that they are willing to offer themselves up to serve our communities. Father, bless this time, bless this county, bless this great Republican Party as we go into this election season. Father, just be with our leaders at all levels and help us to do your will in all things. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we are here at the Rockwall County Candidate Forum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
doing the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and
to the republic
start the
for which stands one nation
start the candidate
under God,
momentarily.
indivisible,
One of the things that
liberty.
one of the things that I'm going to wait until after the pledge is over.
Our moderator is our district attorney, and I usually begin with a PowerPoint that gave her entire history. I had trouble even fitting it on the screen. So, but everyone knows our wonderful district attorney, Kim Culpepper.
Yep.
And I will turn that over to you.
All right, well, thank you, Laverne. Again, my name is Kim Culpepper, and I am the Rockwall County District Attorney, otherwise known evidently tonight as the fly by the seat of my pantser. So I am honored to be asked to moderate this event. This is a great turnout. I can tell you, when Laverne told me or asked me to moderate this, I thought, man, it's kind of, it's kind of a last minute thing, and are we sure that we can get people together? It's a testament to this amazing community that when you put on a forum and say, we're going to educate you about your candidates, that this number of people show up. So give yourself a hand, I appreciate you. Now, this is obviously a really important election for so many different reasons, but remember that this is the first time in a long time that we haven't had straight ticket voting. So it's important, and Laverne is always preaching, it's important to vote all the way down. We've got national, we've got state, but we have lots and lots of local elections, and that's what tonight is about, is to highlight those candidates who will be running our city, running our school boards, running our municipalities for the next couple of years. So not only do I appreciate that you're here and that you're educating yourself about these candidates, but I want you to be a leader, be the leader that you are, and go back into your own communities and educate your friends. It's important that people know who these candidates are. Now, I want to make sure that you know there are rules for tonight. I'm a big rule follower, and I'm going to follow the rules that I was given by Laverne Kennemer. This lady has worked really hard for tonight. She has a situation, but the candidates will have 1 minute to introduce themselves. Then they will have 2 minutes to answer a variety of questions, and then they will have 2 minutes to sum up, all right? Now, I'm going to be asking questions unique to each race. We're going to take the school board all together. So we have candidates from both school board races. We're going to put them all together and ask questions because we want to be sensitive to everyone's time. We're also going to, if there are two different places, like for example, Fate has 2 different places open. We're going to put all the candidates, they're going to be able to answer questions all together. So I'll make sure that I highlight what place they're running for, because you need to know who's running against each other. And it'll be on the PowerPoint. See, that's why I can't change the order even if I wanted to. And then after the forum is over, the candidates will be asked to stick around to talk to potential voters. Now, some of them have tables in the back. I would encourage you to go and visit those tables and get any literature that is available. But they'll also be milling around and you can ask questions. So we're not going to ask questions during the forum. We're going to just ask those questions after it's over. Also, the time. So you want to come up and...
I'll just tell them quickly.
Okay.
When you're going to start speaking, the green light will go on. When you'll have 30 seconds into the end of your time, the yellow light will go on. And then when your time is finished, the red light will go on. And then that's it, you're done.
Well, okay. That's
You're done.
You're done. All right.
You're done.
Running for place 2, Cindy Joke, is also here. And she's the only one that is here from North City.
Okay, the two candidates for there's the school board place 6. There's 3 candidates that are running, and they are all going to be coming up. Interestingly, we're going to have a special profile of the candidate forum for place 6, where Courtney Gober and Amy Hilton were interviewed, but Pete Flores would not answer our phone calls, wouldn't even respond. We even gave them the questions ahead of time. So it is interesting to actually hear why Pete Flores is running. So we'll actually, for the first time, hear something from him. But ultimately, the two candidates, Amy Hilton and Courtney Gober, did a great job of answering some pretty tough questions. It's pretty in-depth, and we're going to show that tomorrow. So we're going to let them go. So here they are.
Go ahead. You have 1 minute to make an introduction.
All right, so I've got that light in my face. For our kids. She's been here 12 years. This is her 13th year now. I'm actively involved in my community. I'm the chairman for, thank you.
For Rockwall ISD School Board Place 6. I am a graduate of Texas A&M University, and have been a licensed CPA for over for the Board of Trustees.
Talk to a city councilman in Fate, Mcclendon, Chisholm, Heath, Rockwall. I can do that. And why do we need to do that? To be more collaborative within our community. I'm heavily involved with understanding the way our tax county appraisal district works right now. That's one of the main topics that I've heard a lot of people discuss in my conversations with our taxpayers, our voting public. And behind that is COVID. Number two was a number two issue that I've heard a lot about. I do have I was a pre-med student, so pretty sure that I understand some of the medical technology and some of the medical terms that are out there. Let me give you an example about some of the numbers that I've heard. I personally talked to a hospital administrator back in July, August timeframe, and according to them, the data that's floating around was not clear. So what can we do as parents to protect our students and educators? We can look at the right data sets to make sure that we're making good, informed decisions, not just on gut feeling and intuition. We need to be able to understand what those risks are and convey those to the parents and make sure that we practice good practices, general practices that are good across the board, not just in one school, but across the board in all the schools. So what's happening is you can start to standardize what one school does well across the board to the other schools. So that's why I believe, because of my connections and my involvement within my community for the last 15 years, that I can be a representative on the school board. Thank you.
I just want to say also, if you're watching and you get cut off,
I'm going to stay seated because I noticed Bob has a camera pointing at me, and I think we're going to drive him crazy if we don't stay seated with them, and you're just hoping that there actually is somebody behind that screen and not just the initials, whatever their initials are. So the teachers are struggling, and so I understand that. I'm working with them right now. I don't plan to start if I'm elected. I'm already working with them right now and plan to keep working with them whether I'm elected or not. That's just what I do. The taxpayers, of course. Taxpayers are the beaten drum of our school district. And because we have such great taxpayers here in Rockwall is why we have a great school system. Our schools, our district, our facilities are top of the line, and I want to keep them top of the line. We want to keep Rockwall and Rockwall ISD a destination district, somewhere that people would want to go to. And so, yes, taxes are very important, but I don't want to fool anybody. Our taxes are the lowest they've been in 29 years. It's going to be hard our school taxes. Our school taxes are the lowest, that's a fact, you can look it up. They're the lowest they are in the last 29 years. 94 cents goes to maintenance and operation. That's just cutting on the lights, paying people's salary. Then another 37 cents goes to interest and sinking. That's pretty much your bonds. That's what pays for new buildings and things of that nature. So until we finish building, our taxes can't be much lower. Thank you.
Well, I will, it's really easy for me to represent parents in this district. Like I mentioned, my children are in elementary, middle school, and high school, and that will be the same situation for me for the next 3 years, with my children being in the district for the next 9 years. So every decision the district makes affects me personally at every level, and I have found over time that I feel like I would really be able to represent the families and students in the district just based on that personal experience and connection that I have with them. As far as how I'll represent teachers, really my relationship with teachers is what has brought me to this place. I've spent the last 11 years working on a volunteer basis for the district, some years to the extent of what would have been a full-time job serving in our schools, because of my great appreciation and love for teachers. If you know about PTO and PTA, that's our goal, is to serve our teachers, serve our staff, serve our school, and in the process help our students. So I'm very grateful for the experience that I've had working in our schools. Also, over the past 7 years, I've been mentoring young women in the district, and I feel that has brought me, at-risk young ladies, and that's brought me great insight into some of the challenges that our students are facing. As far as taxpayers, like I mentioned, I'm a CPA, I'm a fiscal conservative, and as a CPA, certainly have the financial expertise to handle any business and financial matters that come before the Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Is key to being a parent, and being a parent in the district. I think one thing that I bring to it is I do listen. Not only do I listen to the teachers, but the teachers actually listen to the parents. And that is a huge plus for me, and Royce City District is amazing at that. It comes all the way from the administration level all the way down to the teacher level. And I feel like I would be a good voice for the teachers. Not every teacher is comfortable talking to every single person they come in contact with. But since, my daughter's been in the district for, 8 years now, and will be in the district till she graduates, I've had great rapport, and I've never had an issue with the teacher having, anything talk to me. Superintendent, I have excellent rapport with them. Taxpayers, that's where the transparency comes in place. Let them know where their money is going. It's surprising to me sometimes that the parents in the district really don't know the financial statements for the school. They don't understand where their money is going. So I think that that's a very big plus, letting the parents know that. And being in Royce City, guys, we are one of the fastest growing districts in the area. I think we're like 15th in size for expansion. So letting them know that is key, I believe, for Royce City. Thank you.
From the state and federal government to secure more technology devices for our students in light of this pandemic. I think they're doing a great job of even getting some grants and looking for other alternative means to get more resources for our district, especially in light of COVID. I think moving forward, we have already laid out a very secure financial plan for our future here in Rockwall ISD. We're staying right up to par with the growth in our district. We are going to still continue to grow. We're going to continue still to need to build buildings, but right now we're right on schedule. So I think the current bond program that we have is perfect. I think the current budget that we put forth is in line with everything. And I think the only thing that I would just make sure I pay attention to as a school board member was to make sure that our teachers' wages, our administrator wages are competitive with our neighbors, because we don't want to lose talent to those around us. So all in all, I'm very much in favor with our current school board's plan, and I don't plan to change too much with our current school board's financial plan. Thanks.
So my position on our school's proposed budget for 2021, actually for 2021, the budget has been approved. It's not proposed at this point, but I agree largely with what Dr. Gobert has said in terms of our school board has been generally fiscally conservative. In reference to teachers' wages, there was a TASB survey performed last year that did indicate that our teachers' wages are below average for their peers, and I would, for 2021, I mean, you know, there's nothing that can be done in the current year, but looking ahead to 21-22, I certainly hope that we would be able to identify areas of the budget where we can cut costs and shift wages to our teachers as with Rockwall being such a fantastic district. It's a destination district not only for people moving here, but it's a destination district for teachers as well who come here because they've heard such great things. They want to work here. I think we definitely need to pay them commensurate with their peers, or we're not going to always be attractive to great teaching staff. But other than that, I feel that our budget is reasonable, and as a school board member and as an accounting background that relied extensively on financial analysis, I certainly would always be looking for areas to shift and move and reallocate and look at really just, you know, I think you have to be willing to ask questions and the first part asking questions is having the ability and the understanding to know what you're looking for when you're looking at a budget. And that's something that I have dealt with extensively in my career. So, thank you.
Just, we got the message that the audio was cutting out as we switched candidates.
Okay,
to fix
so,
that problem.
I'm not an accountant. I'm an economist / finance guy. As a supply chain manager for a major engineering firm here in the Dallas area. What I can tell you is this: year in and year out, basically, the Rockwall Independent School District budget is about $175 million year in and year out. $148 million is dedicated towards salaries and benefits to teachers and people out there. About, I want to say, $23 million is maintenance, repair, operations, MRO, and the rest is basically, hey, what can we do with it? That's the part that I believe where I can make a difference. We need to look at where we're spending our budget with respect to certain extracurricular activities. I've talked to a lot of parents that feel that we can put more emphasis on the arts, for example, on other curriculum for kids that are not necessarily going to go to a university. I hear a lot of that too from a lot of parents. So I think there is an opportunity there to make a change. We're fully aware of the bond package that was rescinded in March of this year. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but there was
teachers to teach and students to learn skills that are necessary for their economic knowledge. It's an interesting question. I would say, I almost feel like I need to clarify this question. The best style of management, as in school administration management of the teachers. She wrote it. Go that route? Okay.
You don't want to answer.
Okay. No, I want to answer it. I just want to make sure I understand the question. So I believe that teachers should have the ability to read their classroom and apply their specialized skill set that they have to teach them what, in the manner that they want to teach them. I do believe the district should provide a foundation for a curriculum that gives teachers what they need to be teaching, but I do think teachers should have the ability to use their creativity and apply their own style in terms of enabling themselves to teach students to learn skills. That's it. Thank you. Very good.
Okay, good. That's a really good question, and here's why. My son right now is taking a life, what's the name of that class? Life lessons, I believe, at Rockwall High School. We're learning how to manage a checkbook, what interest means, all that good stuff. As far as what the best way to manage that is, kids have totally different styles of learning. Everybody knows that. Kids learn differently. What is important is to let the teachers decide how best to teach your own kids in that classroom. These teachers are college educated. You know, they have a Bachelor of Science degree. Many of them have a master's degree. What I believe is, let's empower them and let them decide how best to teach these kids in their classroom. I think empowering the teacher would go a very long way. That's what I believe is the best style of management, is to let the teacher decide how the kids are going to be learning the best as far as their economic knowledge for the real life world. Thank you.
Sorry about keep getting.
It sounds like your son is in the class that I started at Rockwall High School called Money Matters. It takes it after Dave Ramsey's style of money management, and we started that class at Rockwall about 4 or 5 years ago because I strongly believe in life readiness. And so there's many classes and opportunities, not just at the high schools, but at middle and elementary schools. The courses that we have called AVID, courses that we have, by the way, homeroom. We brought homeroom back. You guys might remember homeroom when you were in school, but we brought that back to school because it's a great place. It's good to have somebody in the school sort of as your mama, because everybody needs somebody watching after you at the school, because not everyone's mother and father is attuned to what's going on at the school. So now you have a homeroom teacher. That homeroom teacher is monitoring your grades, monitoring your attendance, monitoring everything about you. And so that is the style of management and leadership that I'm into. I'm into doing whatever we need to do to make sure our students are successful for life. That may not mean they all go to college. By the way, just so you know, I'm gonna give you a Rockwall High School, Rockwall Heath High School stat. 84% of our kids do go to college, 84%. But only 42% complete college, and that's in 6 years. That's in 6 years. So more than half of our kids are going to college but not finishing college. So if that's a fact, you can look up the National Student Clearinghouse if you want to find that statistic. What are they going to do if they relied on college, if they were told all the way growing up that you need college, but they're not finishing college? What do they need? They need life skills. They need to know how to manage their checkbook. They need to know how to manage their household finances. They need to have that grit, that resiliency to be successful in today's economy.
So I'm going to start with a leadership term that I use a lot. So transitional leader. So I think if you have a transitional leader, which means that you've got a leader that is not a micromanager, that kind of gives you the oomph to do your job, I think the management level's got to start at the top. So when you have a great vice principal and a great principal and a great superintendent and a great school board, then your teachers have that ownership and the want to do really well in the classroom, and I think it trickles down to the kids. And so when you enable your teachers, you got to give them this. You got to give them the skills. They got the skills, but we've got to give them supplies and things like that to do their job well. And I feel like that's where the school board comes into play. Without that, they can't teach, and the kids for lack of a better word, get bored. And he's right, life skills are very important, and not every kid's gonna go to college. So your CTE programs, things like that are a very big benefit in the district as well. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Just go ahead and keep the mic. The fourth question is, how do you plan to prepare for future growth while maintaining the traditional values within the community that has drawn so many families here?
Okay. How do you plan to prepare for future growth while maintaining the traditional values within the communities that has drawn? Okay. So I'll be honest, when I moved to Royce City in 2004, guys, we didn't even have a Walmart. We had a gas station and one red light, basically. I have seen that town flourish. I have seen the school flourish. And it's amazing, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. I just moved there at the right time, and it just kind of worked out. But being involved in that district, the future is, I mean, it's coming. The growth is already there. It's just down the pipeline. And as being part of the school board, it's exciting to me. That's why I'm running. Traditional values. Royce City is a very tight-knit city. And no, I'm not a native Royce Cityan, but they have all made me feel at home there. And it is definitely not my priority to come in and change and uproot the values that they already have there. The mission, vision of the school district is amazing, and it just kind of falls in line with the community itself. Nothing but support goes to the school, so that's why I love it. So I don't really think I would change anything, but definitely want to be a part of the future growth for sure. Thank you.
And the speaker order is on the screen, but again, for this one, it will be Peter Flores, Courtney Gober, and Amy Hilton. So, Peter.
Hello? Yeah. How do we plan to prepare for the future of growth while maintaining traditional...
I feel like we're at a spelling bee.
Yeah.
I started repeating the question.
Okay, so here's how I see it. I and my family moved here because of the Rockwall Independent School System level of achievement. And I'm really sure that a lot of other parents are coming here for the same reason. Because we do have certain expectation of excellence for all our kids. I can tell you this, the traditional values, that seems like a loaded question, so I won't dig deep into that right now. But as far as the growth, we prepare by looking at information from, like one example, Nordica, North Central Texas Council of Governments. They have extensive data on the entire region here in North Texas. We recently have a local representative on the board that is going to be working there. We can take that data and include the demographics that we're generating within the Rockwall Independent School District and merge the two together. We're doing a really good job of that. We have some very well-paid professionals that do that now for the school district. That's why you see the future projection of schools that have to get built. I mentioned earlier, east of here, there's a lot of growth that will be occurring and is occurring. As far as traditional values, I think I said this earlier, we as parents expect a high level of excellence, not just from our educators, but from our kids. Are they all going to go to college? No, they're not all going to go to college, but we still expect our kids to excel in whatever profession that they love and want to do. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to waste my time on answering this question because this is an important one. This is what I think most people that know me as the principal at Rockwall High would say was my forte. And that is this, and you might not remember, but 8 years ago, Rockwall High School wasn't doing very well in athletics. 8 years ago, Rockwall High School didn't have any national merit finalists. 8 years ago, Rockwall High School did not have an internationally recognized IB program. And that's what I brought. I helped hire a dynamite football coach that had us in the playoffs after 22 years drought. We brought in the International Baccalaureate program, which, by the way, that's a whole process. You got to get approved by an international approval authoritative process. It's too long to talk about right now. And then we've always had a national merit finalist or more since I entered Rockwall High School. Because yes, I do believe in school spirit. I believe in school spirit. When I got to Rockwall High School, they were telling me about their school traditions, but I wasn't seeing them. The people that were telling me about it were the people that graduated, not the kids that were in the school. So we had to get the people that graduated, the alumni, and say, hey, teach us what you're talking about. And they did. And then we revived our pep rallies. We had pep rallies in the middle of the school day when teachers would just take 30 seconds to open up your classroom door, and we would have little chance rallies to keep the kids motivated. Then we brought in the highest, most esteemed, rigorous academic program there is, International Baccalaureate. 70% of students pass that and get an IB diploma. Rockwall High School and Heath have 90% kids getting that IB diploma. So rigor, academics, athletics, fine arts, and of course agriculture, because that's what my son's in. I strongly believe in that. That is not something that's a lofty question. That's something I'm very passionate about.
Preparing for future growth, I think the most important thing to do is to be forward-looking the appropriate amount of time down the road. If you're only looking ahead a few years, you're not going to adequately plan for the future growth of a community like this. I believe we have to be looking 10, 20 years down the road at where this community is headed in order to appropriately manage our growth. We have decisions to make. We have some really important decisions to make here in Rockwall ISD over the next few years. One of my children is a current middle school student at a campus that is already over capacity. I have a high school student that is on a hybrid. If we would have been looking forward earlier, we would possibly already have a remedy for our high schools being at a capacity that put Rockwall High School estimated at over 600 children too many to deal with social distancing. So I think that's an example of the importance of looking far enough ahead when you're talking about managing growth to make sure that what your plans are going to actually cover you when the time comes. As far as maintaining traditional values within the community, I mean, absolutely, I absolutely support that all decisions that we make going forward represent the values of this community. And with students at every level of the district, I feel like I'm a good representative of families in the district, and I know how to listen and understand and relate to people and what's important to them. But more importantly, as a Christian woman myself, my values are conservative and traditional, and I know that any decision I make represents that. So, thank you.
And then the last question, and Ms. Jobe, I'll start with you again. How do you feel about virtual or remote learning for students? Short and sweet. One thing we're all wondering about.
I actually enjoy the virtual aspect of it. My daughter is actually doing virtual. I'll be transparent with you. And I myself teach night classes at a university in Oklahoma. So it is definitely a learning curve for our public school teachers who really never had to do it on the little kid level. I do think it might need some tweaking, but for the most part, I think it's here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere due to COVID until maybe the CDC and the TEA come up with some different guidelines to match. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the next order will be Dr. Gober, and then, Dr. Gober, Amy Hilton, and then Peter Flores. Dr. Gober, again, how do you feel about virtual or remote learning for students? And I'd also be interested to know what you think the future of it is.
Good deal. Well, first of all, I'm a great fan of it for lots of reasons. Not only does it allow our kids to continue learning right now, but really, and here's the answer to the question about the future, it allows us to start thinking about a future where our students and our families have choice. that no longer is my only choice to go to that school because I'm 2 miles away from it. Now maybe we can open up options to where we can maybe bring back some students that have left to go to private schools, charter schools, or even home schools because the big schoolhouse wasn't a great option for them. If we had a virtual option, that's a great choice. So I think what's going on now is a necessity, and I'm certainly proud of the work that all of our teachers and administrators have put forth and but I don't think it's something that we need to ignore even after the pandemic. I think it's something we need to explore after the pandemic and allow our families to have another choice. I'm all about trying to figure out how to give students, parents, families, taxpayers more choices into how their money is spent. And right now, no one, by the way, has the exact number of how many students are in Rockwall ISD but do not attend Rockwall ISD schools. That number I cannot find. I've never found it in 8 years. But I know it's hundreds and hundreds of kids are in our school district. They pay taxes in our school district, but they go to private, charter, or home schools, which is great. That's their choice. And why is it their choice? Because what the school district offered was not attractive to them. And so maybe we could do more to find ways to attract those families that paid money into the school system that's supposed to serve them.
Yo, Mr. Flores, I thought you were waiting for me to clap for you.
Okay, so here's how I feel. Kids need to get back to school, and it needs to happen as soon as possible. Why? Because right now kids are suffering mentally, academically, and socially. And if you haven't talked to other parents about that, they're going to tell you the same thing. Last month, September, school board meeting that they had on 21st, I believe. The board of trustees is doing a lot of things. There's a lot on their plate, including, hey, what is the best way to get these kids back in school? But it's not going to happen overnight. There are too many risks involved, too many uncertainties, lots of parents, lots of kids, lots of everything. I think the main thing is, hey, let's figure out and work together with the community, not just the school district. Let's go talk to the communities and find out what we can do to expedite getting these kids back in school. Why? Because they're suffering mentally, academically, and socially. I repeat that again because it's exactly what's happening. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to start the summation. The order will be Mr. Flores. Oh gosh, Ms. Cullen.
She was out of order. She was supposed to speak next when he spoke. That's all right.
So,
in case you're right here.
we're good. So virtual or remote learning. Well, I think it is necessary right now as necessitated by the situation. How is it going might be another story. I think that you get a wide range. You have some children who are doing very well in remote and virtual learning. We have some teachers who are especially enjoying their virtual and remote learning experience as far as teaching, especially our elementary level. On the other hand, we have students that are doing very poorly in our remote learning environment, and we're seeing very high numbers of students failing classes who are remote. I don't think that means that we have to get rid of remote learning entirely. There are clearly people in our community who are going to need to continue to be on remote learning for a whole variety of reasons. But I think that we do need to identify what we can do that makes it more reasonable for our students, what makes it more reasonable for our teachers. What's being asked of our secondary teachers right now is extremely difficult for them to achieve and maintain. They are if you're not aware, our secondary teachers, which is middle school and high school, are teaching both in person and remote right now. They serve both ways, and it is not probably 100% equivalent to a whole additional full-time job, but it's close for a lot of them that they are working. Many teachers have told me they're working 12 to 14 hours a day to achieve that. So I think remote learning, while necessary, we need some work. We need to look at the situation and see what we can do to help our teachers and help our students who are struggling. I think we could have used some more collaboration perhaps at the secondary level between our middle schools and high schools in terms of collaborating on classes so that maybe every teacher wasn't having to do both. But I do think that there is, in some respects, a future to remote learning that we need to explore. Thank you.
Ms. Mclennan, I'm so sorry about that. I was actually really interested in the answers to that question, so I wasn't paying attention to the orders. I apologize. Oh, Miss Joe, but no, you went already. Yeah. Laverne, gosh, okay. You're making me sweat up here. All right. So, do we get to go to the summation? We're ready for the summation? Okay, so the order here is, and I'm going to make sure that I've told her to punch me if I do that again. So the order is going to be Peter Flores, Dr. Courtney Gober, and Amy Hilton, and then Miss Joe. You're going to wind us up, so you have 2 minutes to sum up.
Okay, thank you. Our nation, our community, we're all facing very challenging times. And I think the whole country knows that. We know that here in Rockwall. I'll give you one example of one of my concerns. Let's look at Western civilization, which is us. We're America. We have certain citadels in the media, in universities, in law, in education, just to name a few. And right now they are being attacked and undermined by lots of different groups, individuals, and it's scary. These are really crazy times. I think you've heard of some of this, and I know I have. I keep up with it just to get a pulse of what's happening in the community and across the nation. I don't need to tell you that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Look at Houston School District, look at Austin School District, look at Fort Worth, and look at our own backyard, South Lake Carroll. We're going to need the type of leadership that has a backbone to stand up to protect our kids and our educators and the parents and the taxpayers. We have a certain set of values here in Rockwall that I believe we need to fight for, and if I don't fight for them and stand up for you, then that's not very good for me, because I believe that I would be a very good defender of my faith, my family, and my country, and my community. Just recently I was endorsed by Alan West for school board. Alan West is a retired U.S. Lieutenant Colonel who gave me his full endorsement just recently. That means a lot to me, because those type of endorsements just don't come from anybody. He won't give them away for free.
Well, once again, I'm Courtney Gober. I'm running for Rockwall ISD School Board Place 6. I'm running not because it's a paid position. By the way, the 4 people up here don't get paid if they win. It's a volunteer position. And so with that said, I just want to commend all of them for running and volunteering in their community and putting themselves out there to serve on a school board, whether it's Royce City or Rockwall. It takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot of personal investment to do that, and so I just want to make sure I acknowledge that. Also, I wanted to say that I feel good. I feel confident that, and at least in the Rockwall ISD race, I don't think there's a bad choice. I think there's just levels of choices. And so there's no wrong choice. I hope you don't go home stressed out about it. I don't think you should. I think what it's a matter of is, what direction do you want our school district to get in, and who do you think can get that, who do you think can make that happen? I want to also thank the Rockwall Republican Party for putting this together. I think it's much needed, and I certainly value your decision to put this together. Even as the last hour, I still appreciate it. And I want to thank both of the candidates for running. I think we've had a good race, and it's been a long time since Rockwall ISD had an actual school board runoff, so it's good that we have this kind of discourse. So thank you, Pete, and thank you, Amy, and I'll give her the balance of my time.
Well, again, I'm Amy Hilton, and I feel like that what I really want to express to you, and why I hope that you'll decide to vote for me over the next few weeks, is that what I bring to the table here is vested representation of students, families, teachers, and taxpayers in this district. And I bring the ability to represent you long term. Like I said, my children will be in the district for the next 9 years, and I think that's important because it means that I have, out of my own personal experience, a pulse on everything that's going on, whether it ranges from athletics to fine arts to special services. My kids are spread out across all of it. My professional background brings me the level of financial expertise that's needed to handle the wide array of matters that come before the board in terms of business decisions as well as financial decisions. And I think it's important that we have an analytical set of eyes on everything going forward right now as we make decisions related to our growth and managing our budget going forward. I additionally just feel like that my level of dedication and experience working in the district on a volunteer level is really what has provided me with great insight into what is going on across the board in our district. I attend every board meeting. I post a summary after each board meeting, just immediately afterwards. So on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, which is Amy Klein Hilton, I posted on that. But I think I'll start sharing it to my school board one as well. But anyway, I say that just to kind of give you a point of reference. If that's the type of representation I bring, is transparent representation that is explanatory for members of our community and just to help people understand and be more involved in the district. So thank you for your time. Thank you to the Rockwall GOP for hosting us, and to the other candidates. Thank you.
So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for the invitation, coming from Royce City. Sorry my other opponent was not able to make it this evening. But in summation for me, again, I'm Cindy Job. I'm running for Royce City School Board Place 2. And I do bring to the table a couple of things. Being a registered nurse in these times, unfortunately, I think it would be good to have someone on the board that does have a bit of background when it comes to CDC guidelines and things like that, because my current position, I do actually report all the COVID to the state. That's part of my job. And also, you know, being a parent in the district, and I love the district, and that's why I'm running. I have a vested interest, always have, loved education. You know, I'm going to push my daughter to go as far as she can. I'm always going to be that driving force behind her and that little, you know, voice in her ear telling her she can do it. But I also want to be a driving force for the district, because I think Royce City has amazing potential to go far, because it's growing so quickly and so fast. Like I said, we have, what attracts people to towns is the school districts. And I feel like, you know, Royce City has exploded, and I just want to be a part of that. I think it's an exciting time for not only Rockwall, but also for Royce City. So, thank you.
Okay, well, that was the candidates for school board, and so I've got the Adrienne Balcom, the Iron Lady. What'd you hear that was notable?
Well, one of the things that was kind of interesting, and hopefully it's not all talk, is that they're going to be able to stand up and speak up for what's right and all that. And I think that was kind of interesting, and I'm wondering if they're going to actually be proactive to that. So yeah. I guess we'll see, you know.
Well, and you can hear a lot more from the three candidates that are running for Rockwall School Board. Well, actually, from the two, Amy Hilton and Courtney Gober, who had the guts to be on this show. You know, obviously, all the candidates received the questions in advance, and of course, they're much more in depth than what you heard tonight. So, we're finishing the editing on that, and so that should be up tomorrow.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started.
We're going to go back. We've got a new race, and here we'll put it back to them.
Gonzalez, if you want to go ahead and take a minute to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. Can you have okay. Hi everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Gonzalez Baker. I'm running for Rowlett City Council, Place 1. I have lived in Rowlett for 16 years as a homeowner, and I have a 10th grader. He's going to Lakeview Centennial, and he's in the collegiate program, so he's going to have his 2-year science degree when he graduates, so I'm very proud of that. Let's see. I volunteer in the VIPS program, which is Volunteer Police Services. So I'm definitely against defunding our police officers. And basically I'm running because I don't agree with the decisions that are being made on my behalf currently by the City Council.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask you a series of 3 questions, and we'll just go one into the next, okay? Since you're the only one that graced us with your presence today. All right, so the first question is, Rowlett is made up of 2 counties with differing views, Rockwall and Dallas. Which best represents your style of leadership?
Okay. I don't really know that much about how Rockwall runs. I do know that they are very strong in the school district, and a lot of people are very involved in their county. I tend to see the citizens of Rowlett not initiating and participating in our government, which we should, and which I will encourage. We had 3 places up for election, and only one is challenged, which is me, for place 1. And so I think that I would want to see Rowlett citizens get more involved in the committees and the boards, and also run for city council and run for mayor. In 2 years, we're going to have 3 more city council places and the mayor up for election. I'd like to see them all being challenged and more people participating in the process, where Rockwall, I see more of that activity going on. So I think that would be the differences that I see between Rowlett and Rockwall.
All right, and why does Rowlett need your leadership?
Well, I believe that the decisions that are being made right now are not the correct decisions for the people. I basically am one of those people. Our property taxes keep increasing year after year, and our infrastructure does not have, it's not being taken care of. A good example is our streets and our alleys in our residential areas. The last report of the condition was dated in 2015. That's a very long time to not even address our city's infrastructure. The sewer system is eroding. Literally, the pipes have eroded, and so I would be very encouraged to make plans to get that done more quickly and more swiftly. I know funds are an issue, and I would have to get into more of the budget and see how that could be taken care of more quickly. First thing that comes to mind is maybe slow down on the high density development and use some of those funds to take care of our infrastructure for our current residents, not for necessarily the future revenue that we're being promised for. Some of the high dense developments have like 10 years without having to pay property taxes as part of their incentives. So I believe that a lot of that money could go into taking care of our infrastructure, and just, again, more participation from the citizens of Rowlett. The city council and the mayor really don't have open relationships right now. If you catch them at a city council meeting, for example, you're not able to just walk up and have a conversation with them. They close and they leave, and so you don't have an opportunity to actually talk to them. So okay. That's it.
All right. And then the third question is, and you've really answered it, so I'll add some to it, but are you comfortable with Rowlett's direction? And I think you've answered that, but tell me what you would do to change that direction.
Well, I think that the direction we're in, for the most part, we are in a very high development area. Our property is worth a lot of money. We have a lot of open land that's available to develop, but I don't think that we should develop it just because it's ready to be developed, because we need part of that to, it's part of the charm of our city, is our open spaces and our landscaping with all of our trees and the lake and things like that. So I would like to see more taking care of what we have now instead of doing more for future developments.
All right. And then, Ms. Gonzalez-Baker, you have 2 minutes to sum up.
Oh, okay. I'm very proud to be running for city council for place 1. I really do feel like I can do a very good job. I have 20 years experience in banking, making decisions at all levels of banking. I call it, I climbed the corporate ladder like a lot of us older people might know. And at each level you had different responsibilities and different decision-making levels. And so I was able to learn that along the way. I was a branch manager for 8 years, and I had 2 locations with deposit bases of 148 million. And so I know what it's like to have to balance your budget every week and every month, make sure you have employees, but not too many employees. So my financial experience, and then just real life experience. My opponent is 20, and he doesn't even own property in Rowlett. And I have a son, I have a house, and so I'm very vested in my community. I volunteer, and I just think that I can make better decisions from my viewpoint and my experience than my opponent. And one last thing I just wanted to say, I'm very proud of my son. He's turning 16. Since y'all were talking about so much about the school districts, he is in the Garland Independent School District, and he has excelled with the online virtual learning. He still doesn't turn in his homework, but he's just thriving. He's just getting it done, and I'm very proud of him. So I just wanted to say that. And then my husband and my son support me, which is very important. I've been married 33 years, so I think that also brings a lot of the experience to the table when I'm making decisions for the people of Rowlett. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have one candidate from Rowlett, and what's interesting is that we had a lot of candidates running in Fate, but they didn't show up, so we had Rowlett, and that's a little disappointing. It's also strange that they put Rowlett ahead of Mclendon Chisholm, because I mean Rowlett's such a small portion of voters are in Rowlett, because it's largely just it's just a small portion of Rockwall County. So now we're going to hear from Daniel Tucker.
Yeah, Daniel Tucker.
Now y'all need to quit messing with that button. All right, here we go.
Hello?
Just do it.
I'm just gonna raise my hand there.
Okay. My name is Dan Tucker. I'm running for City Council Mclennan Chisholm, seat number 4. As far as my background, we moved here, my family moved here about 4 years ago from California, but we escaped, is the way I consider it. My background is into school there. I come out of a military family. We lived on the East Coast, the West Coast, a couple places in between. Went to school out in California, graduated from UCLA School of Dentistry, and went back to San Diego and practiced for 10 years down there as a general dentist. And then I went to UMKC and graduate school and in periodontics, and then returned to California and practiced down there for 20 years. All the time that we were there, we wanted to actually leave because of the values that were changing, and certainly against our own. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So did the lights conk out?
No, but I figured if it's just one person there,
Oh, okay.
I'll just raise it again.
All right, so Mr. Tucker, I'm going to ask you a
Yes.
series of questions. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each of the questions, but you can take you don't have to take that whole 2 minutes if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But please do.
Sounds fine.
All right, so the first question is, in your opinion, has enough been done about the Mclendon Chisholm water problem?
The water problem that we just recently had. We had problems with our water, and apparently it was one of the areas down south of us that had a drop in water pressure, and because of that, they had to close down the whole water system, and we ended up having to boil our water. It was not a very good thing. We in Mclennan and Chisholm are currently looking at trying to bring in, become a retailer in conjunction with Terra, and I'm looking at that very closely because I'm really looking towards having more control over our own water for current residents and those residents that will be coming into the community in the next couple of years with the development. So I'm not really happy with what transpired. We got a reasonable explanation behind what did happen, but I would like to ultimately have control over our own water system in the near future.
Mr. Tucker, how do you hope to make a difference by serving as a city council member?
Well, I've been to, over the past 2 years, I think I've been to virtually every city council meeting, and so I've invested myself in learning what the issues are. On the P&Z committee now, and was on the Economic Development Council as well. So I've been there, I've dedicated a lot of time and effort towards looking at what the issues are, trying to decipher out what's ultimately going to be the best for the city, but I'm in the audience, so I'm the audience of one virtually, so I don't have much of a say at this point, but hopefully if I get on the city council, I'll have a little bit of input. I have had a lot of communication with individuals on the city council, and we're like-minded just in many ways. I have some differences of opinion, but I think I can work in concert with those individuals.
Okay, and I'm going to actually put two questions together. What is your philosophy and style of leadership, and why does the Mclendon Chisholm Council need that leadership? So tell me about your philosophy and style of leadership and why we need it.
You know, I've never, this is the first time I've ever stepped up to for a public office, and even though I was fairly successful in my own office, my dental office, it was a leadership of one. I'm going to have to be a little bit more complimentary with the folks that I end up working with. And so for me, I listen a lot. I think that's the one thing I took out of working with patients was that in order to diagnose their problems, I ended up listening. And so I think my style of leadership is listening and then analyzing the problem and then trying to find a solution in conjunction with the folks that I'm working with. So lots of opinions, lots of input, lots of analysis, and then finally come up with a solution that hopefully works for all.
And why do they need that leadership style?
I think they need a leader because you need a voice out there that represents the folks. That there are so many that I speak to that have opinions and they have insights, but they don't have the desire to go beyond that. They like to pontificate and vociferate, but sometimes they stop there. And so, you know, I listen again, and I think that in this case here, I think that the city council would be well helped by me coming on board and helping them out and pushing some of the agenda items through that will make our community a lot better and enhance the quality of life there.
All right, and then the last question is, what is your vision for the future of Mclendon Chisholm?
Yeah, the future for Mclendon Chisholm is it's complicated because we're having the 205 being expanded, and so we're in the middle of a transition period, and it's going to halt a lot of our growth that we have planned. We're revamping currently the comprehensive plan down in Mclendon Chisholm, and which was adopted in 2016 in March. And I'm finding now that we're going back and having to revamp that, look at it again, and because of the widening of the 205 and all the confusion and chaos it's going to create, we have to look at how we're really going to end up developing our business and develop. Was that a sign? I didn't know. Oh, and how that's going to impact the development of business, particularly, but also of housing and maintaining open spaces in Mclendon Chisholm.
All right, and then you have 2 minutes to sum up.
Yeah. Summary. We moved out to Mclendon Chisholm, or Texas in general, because we found that, again, that where we came from was becoming much more progressive in its value system and much more secular. And you know, we value tradition and our faith. And so we found that the value system here was much more like our own. And so when we did move here, initially we got involved with the GOP, did some work with the elections. We became delegates for the GOP convention when we first came here. And so we started, my wife and I do a lot of this together, but we started getting involved. And then slowly I kind of started attending the city council meetings and got more invested in the immediate local community, and became very interested, spoke with a lot of the city council members, was interested in all the various issues that we have down there that are developing as that city develops, and took a strong interest in maybe lending a hand towards creating some solutions. I had my own business for 30 years. I had several dental practices, and it takes a lot of effort to run a business, and a lot of those qualities translated over to managing a city. And so I think I have the wherewithal and the insights, and certainly losing capacity for, was that me again? To help out.
Okay, Daniel Tucker, who wants to continue the growth of Mclennan Chisholm, wants to get into the water business and bring California values into Mclennan Chisholm, which I'm not a big fan of, but it is what it is. And you know, he likes the city council. He likes the decision they're making. They just raised our tax rate. He likes the high taxes. He likes big government. So that's what we're going to probably get with Dan Tucker. Is that his name? Daniel Tucker. Yeah. So it is what it is. So any thoughts?
Well, we don't have an economic development council. I don't know where he got that from.
Right.
He showed up to a committee meeting, which is the economic development committee, which is totally different from what he's talking about.
Yeah.
There's also discussions about the things that he was talking about. I don't know if he's really familiar with what our values of Mclennan Chisholm is. So it should be interesting how, how he responds to certain types of solutions.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see.
He highlighted protecting urban culture, and which I thought was maybe he misspoke, but that's what he said. So I just it stood out. All right, we're going to move back to the floor.
Well, I mangled my name, son Pierce.
Oh, I'm sorry?
MERLE and JAKE.
Okay.
There you go.
So I apologize, and it's Richard.
Anyway, no big deal. No big deal. I just like to, and sometimes you get mixed up a little. We've been living here in Fate for 5 years, and that's my name.
All right.
Hello, thanks for having us here tonight. My name is John Brandt. I live in the Wood Creek area of Fate, running for Place 2 City Council. I'm a small business owner, I'm a parent, and I'm a homeowner that cares about my community. I love the city of Fate. I want to be able to maintain the quality of living that we've all grown accustomed to, and maintain that or increase it as we face these growth spurts that you all know we are experiencing. I believe that I can bring my business acumen, problem-solving skills, and a servant's heart to this position. I thank you for your time, and I ask for your vote for Place 2. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sean DeMoe. I'm running for Fate City Council, Place 2. Majority of my background is going to be military and law enforcement, specifically into K-9. I have 4 children. 2 have already graduated from Rockwall High School. 1 is a freshman there now. And my youngest is currently in elementary school at Billy Stevenson. My background says that I am service-oriented. The only thing I've been doing for the last 18 years is serving my community. And I would love to be able to continue my service here with this community. I appreciate your help. Sean DeMoe, Place 2, City Council.
I had to get on my clapping at first before you hand it over.
A lot of time limit.
Start? All right, thank you. I'm Christopher Ash. I'm running for Faith City Council, Place 3. And I'm an attorney here in Rockwall, and so I figured that hadn't done enough damage to my reputation yet, so it's time to go into politics, right? That's the next. I'm a native Texan. I've lived in Rockwall County for about 19 years. I've lived in Faith for 12 years. Been married to my wife for 21 years, and we've got 4 kids in area schools. And one thing about me is we've got 2 veterans here on the other side. My dad did 20 years in the military. I've lived all over the world, many different places. I've seen cities that are run well and cities that are not run well. And I think I can bring a unique background of legal analysis, a mind to look at issues, analyze what needs to be done, and also just a different set of life experiences to Faith. So I hope you'll vote for me. I know there's just tons of people here from Faith for City Council, Place 3. Thank you.
I'm staying over here since the room's kind of divided. My name is Heather Beagler. I'm running for Place 3 for Faith City Council. I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner, and the reason I'm running is because I do believe that we can do a better job of communicating with the citizens in Faith. There are so many people that I talk to that say they don't know that something's happening until days or weeks after it's already happened. The other thing that I would really like to look at is continuing support for Faith DPS. I do believe that the safety of our community is a very high priority. Faith is a safe haven that all of the people that live there come to love, and I want to continue support for that. And then the other thing that's close to my heart is going to be small business. I would really like to encourage small businesses, the ones that currently exist in Faith and the ones that want to become, members of the Faith community as well. So I'm Heather Beagler, running for Place 3 for Faith City Council, and I would appreciate your vote.
Okay, so the first question, and we are going to start.
It's got to be this side.
I don't know.
I'll go get it if it's not.
All right, so we're going to start. Is it Jake?
Yeah.
Jacobson? Okay, from a girl named Kenda. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, but so Mr. Jacobson, we'll start with you. The question is, how do you hope to make a difference by serving as a city council member?
I hope to help make a difference in the city council by listening to the people that I know and helping them to get what they want out of the city council and explain things to them, what that hasn't been explained. We need to have transparency in all that we do. We need to care about the people. And sometimes, there's not going to be some happy decisions, but that will happen. By the way, we've been married for 50 years, got 9 kids, and 30 grandkids. So I win. Thank you.
Mr. Brandt?
Thank you. How do I follow that, Jake? How do I hope to make a difference by serving as council member? I hope to bring, I've been a successful businessman, a volunteer as I can in and out of Rockwall County. I have a servant's heart. I listen to my neighbors. I stay informed as a homeowner myself, and I hope to continue the spirit of transparency within our local government that we've been able to appreciate and enjoy thus far. I think our current city staff has done a terrific job of being transparent and available, and I would like to continue in that spirit, making myself available to all voters, all residents of the community, and I think that I can bring a practical approach to the office, with growing as fast as we are, and just maintaining stabilization, even if we get to that level. It's important to be able to face these concerns and issues as they arise with an educated and informed outlook, as well as the community's input. So I think that is very important, and I think that I can thrive. Willingness, you have many willing participants up here that want this position. It certainly doesn't pay, as we've all discussed earlier, so we're definitely doing this as a service to our community. Capable, willingness, Being capable is important, but being ready is also important. And I think I fit the bill on all three of those. I'm willing, I'm capable, and I am ready for this position. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Sean DeVoe?
So after my military career, I had to find a way to re-engage. So I came back to what was home. 20 years ago, I started here with Rockwall County EMS as a dispatcher. I was a dispatcher for Fire when they were volunteer. But I came back and I saw how they grew. And I was like, wow, that's very impressive. But now I need to re-engage. I need to find out what I can do to continue my service. So I started volunteering, started going around, started asking questions. Where can I go? This is my background. What fits me? And then I started to realize it's not about me. It's about this community. What am I going to do as a city council member? I'm going to continue to serve. I'm going to continue to go out there, knock on the doors. I'm going to continue to be out there with everybody, because it is our community. I am service. I love to volunteer. I'm going to continue with that community service, get out there and talk to the people, which means I'm one of the people. So whenever I'm sitting up there, it's not about what I want. It's not about what I'm thinking about. It's about what our community wants, what they need to help them grow, to bridge that communication gap. I've heard and looked at all the social media. There's so many things that the citizens right now are upset about with our current city council. And the thing is they're just members of the city council. They're here to represent you. So please interact with us. Get in there. Come to the meetings. There's very, very few that come to the meetings. When they do, they're upset about something. So before you're upset, come talk to me. Let me know what's going on. So if I do get the opportunity to sit up there, I am representing you the best that I possibly can. It is about you. It's not about me. It's about us as a community. Thank you.
It's for place 3, Mr. Ash.
Thank you. So it will be no shock to everyone here that the primary challenge facing the city of Fayette is growth, like so much in this area, right? Growth is a huge thing. It creates opportunities. It also creates challenges. In less than 20 years, Fayette has gone from roughly 700 people to roughly 18,000. Okay, that's a lot of growth in that amount of time. And that's the little Fayette that's sandwiched in between Rockwall and Royce City. Okay, we can kind of grow south, we can grow north, but east and west, we've got cities on either side. Growing in the right way is critical. And that is what I want to bring, is to help the city council to make sure we grow in the right way, that we take care of our infrastructure. All that growth places a huge demand on the infrastructure. We've got to have the budget for essential services, including, of course, police, DPS, fire, and all the other essential services that a city needs to provide, and we've got to coordinate that. Now, one of the things I've enjoyed the very most about this whole process, and it really has been a treat and an honor to run with everybody up here, okay? My opponent is Heather. She's awesome. We found out we don't live very far from each other, in fact. And it's really been a pleasure. But one of the things I've enjoyed the most is actually being out on the street, knocking on people's doors, first of all, having them answer the door, and then engaging in a conversation with them where they tell me what's important to them. And there's always opportunities for improvement with the relationship between the citizens and the leadership. I think Fayette has done a tremendous job with their growth. I think they've done great things. They just won an economic development award for cities 10 and 20,000. That doesn't happen by accident, but there's always opportunities to improve the relationship.
All right, so one of the things that I really think is challenging to our community at the moment is that communication component. We are mainly a community of commuters. We have so many people that commute into Greenville. We have so many people that commute into Dallas. Not everyone can make those city council meetings. If I'm elected, I'm going to make it my goal to help improve that communication between the city and the citizens of Fayette. I am here for the people that attend city council meetings religiously. I'm here for the keyboard warriors, and I'm here for everyone that is stuck in between. I understand that you can't always be there when the decisions are made. I understand that sometimes the only way you can reach out and have your voice be heard is on social media, via email, text message. I mean, pick your communication method of choice. I believe as a city we should be able to receive that information in whichever form it takes and use that to make our decisions as a city council. Once again, I'm Heather Beagler, running for place 3, and I would appreciate your vote.
Okay, so here's where it's gonna get tricky, because Laverne made one order on my sheet and one order on her sheet, so I'm gonna...
Because we had Heather come.
Right, okay, so just bear with me just a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and put two questions together, and Sean, you're gonna go first. What is your philosophy and style of leadership, and why does the council need that kind of leadership?
Okay, so military, I can say right now that what I got used to is you have a commander, he's in charge, so therefore we're pretty much there to support him. But that's not my philosophy here as a city council member. I'm not bringing in the military and saying you're going to do as I tell you to because I tell you to. The city council is comprised of 6 members and a mayor, and we're all there to support each other. We're here to talk to each other. We're here to get the information from the mayor, and the community. It's not a leadership style that I can just come in there and say, this is what we're going to do, because that's not the way it is. The city has adopted a charter, and it is a home rule, which means it is a local authority. We are here to help provide information and make a decision based off of what is good for the city, what do they want. Every now and then there's going to be something that they want that is just not going to work right now. So that is whenever we get involved and say, okay, I agree, I like it, but let's see how we can push that down over here and work on it. But right now, this is what is important: our infrastructure, our roads. We may not want to develop a huge, put up a big supermarket right now because we have potholes. We have things that do have priority, and it's about safety. It's about taking care of our children, taking care of our homes. So that is one thing that I would say, if anything, from a leadership style, is just to inform and say, this is what I see based off of all the information that's provided in front of me. This is what I see. I like the ideas that you have, but let's see how we can work together and find out what the priority is. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ash?
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go a little ways back on this one, and forgive me, but I'm going to go back to Sunday school days, okay? I'm going to go back to the Bible, and one of my favorite stories from that is actually a story of Moses, okay? Moses, he's new in his role, and there's the story about it. Don't ask me chapter and verse, but he sits and he judges the people all day long, and he's just completely exhausted at the end. And at the end of the day, his father-in-law Jethro comes, and he's like, Moses, what are you doing? You're completely wore out. You're trying to do everything. And he's like, call 50 capable people, make them lower judges, and spread this out and get some help. Now that story is to illustrate what I believe is my leadership style and philosophy, which is to support and elevate others in their roles, okay? I think we do a disservice when we try and do too much, when we try and do everything. You've seen capable people up here, and we're blessed to have wonderful, capable people in the City of Faith on commissions and in various roles, and of course the city staff, their employees. All those people, if we can inspire them, motivate them, support them, and elevate them to do their jobs well, okay? If I can be a part of that, then the whole thing is going to run so much better. Support me in my job. So that's my philosophy, my style, to learn my part and to help others do theirs well.
So my leadership style is I'm a listener. I like to listen to the voices that are coming from the citizens, the voices that are coming from the other city council members. Everyone has a different life experience that they are pulling information from. I don't have all the answers, but there are a lot of people that are going to be up there with me casting votes, that they've either lived through this, they know somebody that has had similar experiences. We have people in our community that are on the boards and on the commissions that have so much experience and so much information that they can give to us. We have amazing city staff, like Chris said, and that's just wealth of knowledge and information that we can pull from to make our decisions. The city of Fate it's still a small town. I would like to preserve that as much as possible. I was born and raised in a small Texas town that is no longer a small town. I mean, every time I go home, I don't remember any of these businesses that are there. I don't remember that these roads didn't exist. It has grown so much it is unrecognizable. And that feel, that small town feel, has been lost there. And I don't want that to happen to Fate. I believe Fate deserves better, and they deserve somebody to listen to their voice.
Mr. Brandt?
Thank you. What's that?
Oh, you'll go right next.
You'll go next. So my philosophy is a practical approach to the office as a homeowner, as an informed citizen and neighbor. A practical approach to me means that there's only so many ways that something can or cannot happen. And if we're faced with an issue, a concern, a problem, it's important to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and I'm certainly not perfect, but I am really good at whittling down our options in a practical manner, and then taking the meat and the potatoes of those options and being able to express them and articulate them to the public ear so that everybody can make an informed and educated decision together. And I think that is important. I think that is happening now, but I think it can happen a little bit more within our council, and I think that that's what I would bring to the table. Again, not as just a homeowner, but as your neighbor. I don't have a political background, although there's been, it's arguable that as being a small businessman, or woman, that you're faced with many political decisions from time to time, and that is certainly true. I'm well versed with contract negotiations. I can take the lead, and I can follow the team leader as well. And I think that is also something that I can bring to the table. Thank you.
And Mr. Jacobson.
What I look for is we have the city the city manager type government in Fate. The thing that we have to do is give him and his subordinates the chance to run the city, to make decisions, to call and see what they need to work with. If you don't have anything, information from them, it's hard to give them what you need. By the way, my face mask here, went to the dentist, he said, oh no, so that's why it's on. Okay, so anyway, being in a city like, a small city like that, it's gone up by probably 16,000 people since I got there. And you see that all these people that are around, and everybody's got an opinion how things work, especially on social media. They can take you apart real quick like. So, and part of that is they need to know what they're talking about before they do it. And a lot of times it doesn't work that way. So I'm ready and willing to serve on the city council to do what's best for the people and to help the city grow in a timely manner with everything we need. Thank you.
All right, so the next question is, how do you explain your growth, and considering this factor, how will you address Fate's infrastructure problems? And the first one will be Christopher Ash.
I don't want to be a first on this one. That's a good one. All right, so growth is the city of Fate, I'm assuming, and how do we explain it? I know I'm doing the spelling bee thing here. And how do we address the infrastructure? So I think from an explanation standpoint, I think it's pretty straightforward. We're blessed with a great job market here in North Texas. We have affordable housing, so that's half of it right here. The growth is not just in Fate, but it's all of the suburbs around North Texas. We've seen it in Frisco, we see it in lots of other places. Fate is blessed with a lot of private land that was undeveloped yet. And then we also did have a great school district. I loved hearing from our school district, those that were running for the board earlier. We have a lot of things going for us in Fate, and it's those things that are so important to us that we want to preserve and keep that way. Growth is a reality. It's going to happen. We cannot deprive the other private property owners of their right to do what they want with their property. We can't just say, well, you some who sold it to developers and made lots of money, good for you, but we're going to stop it there. And we need to use strategic zoning and planning and other issues to make sure that we do preserve some green space, some nice open spaces, and it's not just all built out houses everywhere. But it's a reality. It's going to go forward, and it's going to happen. And how will I address Fate's infrastructure problems? First of all, I'm grateful that it's not me that has to address it. I'm grateful that there will be a city council, 6 capable people, the citizens, commissions, city staff that will help with all of those things. But it's going to be a combination of wise planning to keep taxes low, but have sufficient for emergency services. We may do special incentives, and then there's bonding as well.
DeMoe, I told you this is a very complicated formula that was created.
So I asked you to keep it simple. I told you no words. All right, just short. All right, so growth in the area, Fate specifically, we're looking at that small town feel. It's very attractive. You coming off the interstate, you can see lots of open areas. It is attractive. You can look at our tax rates. For Rockwall County, Fate is the lowest on the property tax value, and to include the surrounding areas. Fate is roughly, I believe, is 100 out of 103 on for the state of Texas. So it is very low. So our tax rates are very, very low. That is definitely an incentive to bring people in here. But again, going back to that small town feel, is you have Royce City that has a huge Walmart. They're putting in, they put in the Buc-ee's. We, as Faith, enjoy that small town. The city itself in the downtown area, we have a brand new courthouse, or not courthouse, I'm sorry, the city hall, the surrounding small town businesses that are there. We are bringing in people that say, okay, this community loves what they have, and they want to continue to build something that is special, something that is unique. For the infrastructure problems, that's something that we got to work out with the other cities, because everything's being fed into that area. Working with the developers to help maintain those streets as the construction goes on. So it's not just a city council issue, it is something that we need to work with the developers as they come in as well. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Jacobson.
Well, sometimes if you're in the city and you hit the pothole, you know that there's an infrastructure problem. So you got to look at that and take care of it. Or if you got dogs running all over the place and nobody's picking them up, then you got a problem there until they land on your yard and start doing stuff. So one of the things that you have to look for is the thing that infrastructure is going to be there whether we want it or not. And as long as it's not popping a valve and coming up 18 feet in the air where the water pressure went. So you got to be careful for that, and then people got to be in tune to checking that out to find out what they're going to need. Also, the streets, you got a lot of culverts and bridges on there. Got to make sure that those bridges and culverts are doing what they're supposed to be doing, rather than having the water run across the road, and that doesn't work very well. That's my thing on city infrastructure and making it sure that it works for the people. And most of all, if I'm on a city council, I'll probably hear about it. Thank you for your time.
to Fate for the same reason that we moved to Fate. We wanted that small town. We wanted that get out of the city, get away from the hustle and bustle a little bit. And I can tell you, as someone that has moved to Fate in the last several years, it is definitely a slowing down. Where we were before we were in Fate, it was very busy. There was a lot of growth. I mean, we were over there where, you know, Nebraska Furniture Mart and IKEA and all that stuff was going in, and it got to where you couldn't even go to the grocery store without it taking you 45 minutes round trip just to drive, not to do the shopping, just to drive. And we left because that's not what we wanted. That's not how we wanted to raise our children. And then we found Fate, and it was just by happenstance, luck, blessing, whatever you want to consider it. But Fate has that same small town feel that I had when I was a little girl. My kids go out and they play in the yard, and they play with their friends across the street. I mean, they walk to the park together. We all have birthday parties together with all the kids that are in school. It is that feeling. And I want my children to have that, and I want the other children in Fate to continue to have that. I don't want that to get lost. Now, Fate is growing. We are getting a brand new grocery store, and people need to realize that there are lots of challenges that are going to come with that, and lots of additional growth that's going to come with that. As far as infrastructure goes, the City Council is already starting to address those problems. They're holding town halls, they are holding City Council meetings and talking about that currently. They're bringing up things like fees and bonds and different ways to pay for what we need. So they are doing those things, and that will continue with whoever gets elected as well.
And it's like Sudoku, you're the last number left, so Mr. Brand.
Or save the best for last, which is Jake's comment usually. So the expansion and the growth in Fate, I think, of course, you know, it's easy to say that Rockwall County is a great place to live. People want to live here. People hear about us. We make the news for all the right reasons, most of the time. And I think that, you know, being a town that's growing as quickly as we are, I've heard a lot of people say that they really love the small town feel that they've grown accustomed to, whether it be in a smaller town and moving to Fate, or Fate itself back in the day. And I think what makes, a big part of what makes a town feel that way and feel like you have a small town, regardless of how fast you might be growing, is the sense of community, the community involvement, and the overall participation and vibe, if you will, of the community. And I think that is really something that helps Rockwall County stand out, and it helps Fate stand out. We've got a melting pot, if you will, of several, you know, backgrounds, people from all walks of life, but we all share the same goal of the common good. We all want to have a nice place to live. We've grown accustomed to a lifestyle, and as we face these infrastructure problems, and they're good problems, you know, they certainly can be looked at as good problems. Growing is not necessarily a bad thing. Making sure that we have all of the tools in place for exponential growth long term, and that we can sustain and manage the things that we are building and growing into is of paramount importance. And I think that we can achieve that by continuing to educate our homeowners and our residents and voters, and I plan on doing that in place 2. Thank you.
Mr. Brand, I apologize for that. It was Mary Puckett. Wasn't she just here? She was calling me just now. All right, so the last question is, what is your opinion of the Open Spaces Consortium, and explain your position? And the first person will be Heather.
All right, so I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know a whole lot about the Open Spaces Consortium. I know we have city council members that participate in that. One of them's here. But so let me tell you a little bit about what's happening in Fate. So we have a park bond that's up right now. And there's a lot of back and forth between the citizens, North and South Fate. North Fate has a park currently. South Fate does not. So they are a little overdue for needing some, you know, park spaces and things like that. Now, North Fate has had the benefit of having the developers put a lot of money towards building their park systems up. For instance, our brand new splash pad that went in, that was paid by developer funds. The south side of Fate has not had that happen. If you look at their bank balance, it's just not a whole lot in there to do anything with. So that's where this park bond comes. They need money in order to put a park there. Now, everybody loves parks. I believe our city needs parks. It's going to attract the same type of family and the same type of community-oriented people that we enjoy having there. I also want people to understand that with the infrastructure issues that we currently have, I mean, City Council's brought it up. There is going to be some other form of payment that's going to have to be done, whether it's a fee or a bond. Now, I'll tell you, I am not a fan of fees. I don't believe that there's enough involvement by the taxpayers for the fees, so bonds are a little bit more my thing. But yeah, as long as they understand that those things are coming down the pipeline and there's going to be additional things that will need to be paid for, and they are still comfortable paying for a park bond as well, then absolutely 100% all for it. But I do think that we need to do a better job of communicating the things that are coming up in the future and not just the things that are on the table right now.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Jacobson.
Well, we had a lot of meetings drawing up to the park bond. A lot of people are not real happy with that. But what we suggested was to make the park to be smaller, and then gradually have it grow as time goes on, like the Smith Park. And it's up to us, you know, if you land it all on at one time, people aren't going to be happy. But if you explain it to them, what their overall plan is, that may be something that will be received properly, and the people will be happy. You know, I grew up in a town where, come on, 600 people. You know how that is? So, anyway, we need those parks. We need to have something for the people to play in. We need to be able to watch the ducks. Our duck farm has now got 6 ducks. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm a firm believer in the will of the people, and I believe that you'll hear a common thread with me this evening and all through my campaign. I really think that being well-informed resident is important. The will of the people is important when we're talking about parks. I believe that parks are a very important piece of our community. It's what, you know, it's something that can bring us all together. It brings up our property values. It brings up our social value. It makes our town and city an inviting place or you know, helps with the destination city status that we've grown accustomed to in Rockwall County. But you know, there's a time and a place for everything, and with the growth that we have, I think that it's important to prioritize. And I think our neighbors and the residents will tell us what is important to them. And with that, I support open spaces, I support public parks, but I'm not a fan of raising money just to spend it. So again, what we have budgeted, the policies and guidelines that we have, we revisit some of these things every year, and it's that practical approach that I think I can bring that will help with it. Thank you.
The park bond is actually on the ballot right now, so it's not something that I can say, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. It is on the ballot. It has already been brought up. It is already in your shoes right now. You get to make a decision, and then hopefully if I'm on that, then I'll be able to act off of it, which is what I've been saying all night long, is that I am part of this community, and I'm going to be there to vote for you and with you. So with that, I do believe, I like open spaces. I enjoy the parks. I believe our county has that get outside and play. It's good for the health. It's good for your mental and physical health. Get outside, enjoy the fresh air. It's on the ballot right now. I can say I'm for it, I can say I'm against it. Either way, it is your choice. You right now have the opportunity to say if you like it or not, and then we're going to act on it. With that, they didn't come up, nobody came up with this and just said, okay, we're going to throw it on there on the ticket board real quick. This has been going on for over a year. There has been 560 different evaluations. The questions have been asked, and it's out there, it's transparent, you can read about it. This isn't something that the city said, okay, we're going to do this. It is something that the actual voters said, we would like this. So now here's the opportunity, and the best way for us that we believe is going to happen is by putting up a bond. So vote for it yes, vote for it no. Either way, we're going to act on it, and we're going to do the best that we can. Thank you.
So I think everyone is a fan of wide open spaces, right? Parks are great. Parks are necessary, especially during this time of COVID, right? We need a place to get outside. And parks are expected. People who are coming, and people are still coming to the area, they're looking for attractive parks. They're looking for nice outside recreational areas. So they're very important to a city. They're also expensive. There has to be a way to pay for those parks. We can't do it at the expense of, or at the cost of, cutting essential services. So there's got to be a balance on all those things. And there's different ways to get the money for the parks, and as been pointed out by everyone up here, it's on the ballot, okay? They're voting on a bond for the park. I love bonds for that reason, in that they're very democratic and the people get to decide. What's often overlooked, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have a park bond, I'm personally in favor of it, but bonds stay with you for a very long time. You may be dealing with a bond for another 10, 20, and depending upon the bond, possibly even more years. They have to be fiscally sound to do. Fees are much less popular, but you can reassess and change fees annually. You're not stuck with those forever going forward. So it's important to look at both. It's important to balance all of this and making those critical decisions. But right now, we've got an opportunity to vote, and I hope people will educate themselves, as been said, and make an intelligent and educated choice. Thank you.
All right, and that was Mr. Ash. All right, so the summation, Mr. Jacobson, we will start with you. You have 2 minutes to sum up.
Well, we kind of thought over this when we had our thing there on Monday night. I told them to save the best till last, and here I am. So, anyway, if you're too serious all the time, it's just not going to work well. So, what I think is I really want to serve on a city council and to be part of the community. I used to, before we moved here, I was on an HOA board with 150 homes. I was treasurer for 20 years, and I never made any money, but that's okay. The other thing is, when I worked for the power company, I started out mowing lawns and ended up in a substation in charge of 1.5 million people. And that was interesting. That was when the rolling blackouts happened. So I do know how to manage things and know how to make things work right. And I thank you for your time, and I'm running for position 3. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank our hosts and our moderator for this evening, and as well as all of the volunteers and staff that have made this possible for us to get together, as well as other candidates for all the cities. I'm asking you to vote for me, John Brandt, Place 2, Fate City Council, because I love my city and I love my neighbors and my community, and I want it to be and continue to be a great place to live. Full transparency, informed and educated decisions by the residents, for the residents. That's really my platform. I mean, people have asked me in the last several days and weeks while I've been running this campaign, you know, what my platform is. And I don't have a specific A, B, or C. Nobody's a big fan of raising taxes. Sometimes those things have to happen. But again, when we're faced with those decisions, even the ugly ones that we don't want to face, it's imperative that we have the details, that we maximize our opportunity, that we whittle down our options so that we understand exactly what we can do. A lot of these problems that some of the people are expressing online as residents don't even really deal with city council issues as much as they do things on a state level, particular roads that we don't have control of. And I think that those things can be managed a lot better with more information, more transparency, more availability. I'm always available as your neighbor. I will always be available as a city council member. And again, a practical approach. There's only so many ways that something can or cannot get done. Willingness, capable, and ready. That's me. Thank you.
So back in February, I decided that I was going to run for city council. And as I was walking up to the podium to say something, and it came to me, why am I actually doing this? And tonight, reminded me of that night or that day. I want to run because of the people that are here. It's the people that I've met over a short period of time that have actually told me and showed me what a great community we have. They've inspired me. If you're here right now, you're inspiring us. You're telling us that our community is important to you, that you have a voice, that you want somebody up there that's going to represent you, that is going to listen to what you have to say, be a member of that community, get out there, one way or the other. Go to the city meetings. If you have something that you're thinking about, bring it up. Let us talk about it. I will be that guy who will come in that I started back in February, and I am going to continue to work. I'm going to continue to volunteer. I'm going to continue to serve. That's what I do. I've been doing it for 18 years. I'm going to continue to do it no matter what. I'm going to serve. I'm a member of this community. I'm going to stay a member of this community, and all I want to do is get the opportunity to represent you. I want to serve you. Thank you.
All right. Before you start, Mr. Ash, let's pay special attention to the candidates that are running for place 2 in Fate, Mr. Jacobson, Mr. Brandt, and Mr. DeMille. Let's give them a hand. So now those candidates from place 3, Mr. Ash.
Thank you. All right, this is my kind of cheesy story about, to sum up my position, and these guys have heard it before, but I guess they're a captive audience. So my neighbor across the street, they've actually torn these out now since the last time I told this story, but they had some sunflowers planted in their yard and they had them in the wrong spot. Okay, if you know anything about sunflowers, they're going to grow towards the light. And they had them between the houses, and they were growing like this, okay, to try and get to the light. And it looked weird, and they ultimately had to tear them out. That's a lesson on growth. And again, that's what this is all about for the City of Faith. It's all about growing in the right way. Growth is going to happen. I love the small town feel. I want to keep it. But growth is going to happen, and we have to handle it in the right way. If we are not careful, we end up with acres and acres of single-family housing. Now, as a homeowner, I like my single-family house. But if you have acres and acres of nothing but that, one day those developers leave, and then the burden of the infrastructure and everything else falls on the property owners. So you need some businesses, you need some of the right kind of multifamily housing. I know those things sound scary to homeowners, but you need some of that. And again, it's balance in all things. If you have all sunlight, if you have all water or all soil for your sunflowers, they die, they don't grow. It's finding a balance for all these things. And I hope that you allow me the chance to work with you to find that right balance in place 3. Thank you.
All right, so I'm Heather Beagler. I am running for place 3, Fate City Council. Like I said when we started this off, my main concerns are communication between the city and the citizens of Fate. I do believe that we can do better. One of my goals, if I'm elected, is to make sure that there is some sort of collaboration between the citizens that need the information and the city that has the information. We've got to get those two to meet somehow. Support for our Fate DPS. We are growing at an unprecedented rate. We need to make sure that they have the funds, the equipment, the personnel, what they need in order to do their job and keep our small town the safe haven that we've come to love. Small businesses, I don't believe they should be overlooked. I know we're getting in these big, massive companies at the moment, but we have lots of small businesses that currently exist in Fate, and they still need our support. We have new small businesses that want to come in, and they need our help as well. I do think that we have some really great things going on. I do think that we are moving in a good direction, but we do need to corral that growth a little bit, maybe slow it down just a tad, until we're able to catch up with some of the other housekeeping items that we have on our list. Infrastructure is a big thing in Fate right now, and I do think we need to come up with a solution before we hit our next massive round of growth that's going to be coming. My name is Heather Beagler. I'm running for Fate City Council Place 3, and I would love to have your vote.
All right. From place 3, so let's give another
Okay, so that is the place 3 for Fate, and I hope that we're going to have the mayor for we're having the Mclennan Chisholm mayor's race. And finally, I don't know why they're putting a mayoral race at the very end. But, well, any thoughts?
There talks about infrastructure. I think that there's a lot of interested people that want to hear about what's going on with the infrastructure. And they're also concerned about... Sounds like Mayor Short may actually appear.
Valerie Bodart.
Yeah, so okay. Keith Short is MIA
okay, so
as usual, and they held this back so that he could get here, but he's not here. So big surprise there. Not. So at least we have a conservative candidate, Val Bodart. Keith Short's no conservative. That's the one thing we can say, and so it's nice to hear what Val has to say.
Hi,
Val Bodart.
My name is Valerie Bodart, spelled with an L-E-R-I-E, just if it matters. I usually go by Val though. I'm originally from Southwest Oklahoma, so I'm used to the wide open spaces like we have in Mclennan Chisholm, and I prefer that. I'm the daughter of an Air Force veteran. I'm married an airman at a very young age, and then I became an airman myself. So I love my country. I love serving. I love serving the people that I'm around. I volunteer at church. And let's see, what else? I have 2 children. My husband's name's Kurt. I have 2 children who are grown, so I don't have any little ones at home except for a lovely granddaughter who comes to visit once in a while.
All right. Okay, so the first question, and you have 2 minutes to answer all of these questions, but the first one is, if there is one thing that you can identify as a concern for Mclennan Chisholm that you could solve, well, what is the one thing that you could identify as a concern for Mclennan Chisholm that you could solve with winning this position?
If you don't live in Mclennan Chisholm, you might not realize this, but there is a lot of push for us to develop and to have businesses and to grow, and that's really been pushed a lot. And I think that as mayor, I would be in a really good position to be able to help guide the city into keeping what we have. We love our wide open spaces. The people that I've talked to love our wide open spaces. When I take walks at night, I can see the stars. I don't live in a city, and I think most of us feel the same way. And I would like to be a driving force in making our city a wonderful bedroom community place to go to when you get off work, to go home, to the quiet. We can hear the coyotes sometimes. It's very cool. That's the kind of lifestyle I think that most of us who buy property in that area want to have.
Okay. And what style of leadership is required to bring cohesiveness to the Mclennan Chisholm populace, and how do you think it can be achieved?
already tried to start that. There is some division in beliefs and, not beliefs, but in leadership style and future desires of how we want our city to be. I think that I would be a good person to help get people more motivated to get involved in city government, to actually show up to the meetings or watch them being broadcast on YouTube. That's a very good way to keep up. A lot of people didn't even know, they don't know a lot of the things that are going on. So I think that if we could identify those problems, that we are all one city, that we don't need to be divided by who believes this and who believes that, or who's friends with who and who's friends with who. It's a little bit high school, but we do have that problem. I really think that we could come together as a community and do things that are beneficial for everybody.
All right. And then the last question is, what are your thoughts about the new Economic Development Committee?
Actually, I'm pretty excited about it. There's some people that have been added to the committee who are very knowledgeable, and that I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring to it. I attended some of the meetings that they had last year, and I think that starting over, basically, which is what they're doing, I think that they can really make some progress and get us set up to where we have a direction to go for our future. We have an exciting future ahead of us.
All right, and then you have 2 minutes to sum up.
I just want to say that I really love our city. I love, like I said, our wide open spaces. I love the opportunity that we have to invest in a property and keep it and have it be ours, and still have wonderful neighbors, wonderful people that live near us, and have a sense of community. That's very important. Really, that's about it. I mean, we have a couple of things going on, like 205 coming through. That's going to be a challenge, but I think if we all pull together, we can, with some patience, make it through all of that. Thanks.
Well, and that's Val Bodart. Of course, she's not a politician, so being up on stage is sometimes not an easy thing. But one of the things that Val is very committed to is transparency, and that's the thing that I think is important, because she does attend. She's attended more city council meetings than our current mayor has. He's not at this event because he's not a conservative. Only this is really designed for conservatives anyway. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad that she's here, and then she's kind of introducing herself to let people know about what she wants to try to achieve and what kind of her leadership style is. And I think it would be encouraging to hear how she's going to be motivating people to come together, because she's not part of certain types of transplants or other. She was mentioning something about beliefs and stuff and how leadership styles are, and I thought that was a good point. I think that she is interested in trying to be that glue in that divide. So.
Yeah, so currently you've got a Mayor Short, who's a tyrant, who basically leads by intimidation, and it's a great example of that is the code enforcement officer. Remember when he proposed that, and the council basically was going to vote against it, and then he stopped the vote after that he had already called for the vote. They were already in the middle of the vote, right? And do you remember this? And
yeah, well, in the end, we'll skip over time and all that, but basically Val, she actually brought up a suggestion about what they could do for the budget, and that because we just had a passing of a budget, and they still went ahead and went with a full-time
code enforcement officer for a city that doesn't really have any code enforcement issues.
Well, we have some court enforcement issues. The issue is that, you know, we need an actual another person to
Right.
be, and we already have staff that can do that because we don't have like thousands.
That's my point. That's my point. You
Yeah.
don't have enough to have a dedicated code enforcement officer
Mm-hmm.
on staff with a vehicle, which has been approved in the budget. But they went ahead and did it anyway. Why? Because Keith Short believes in big government. So does the city council. That's why we need a change in Mclennan Chisholm for sure, and I hope that Val Bodart is that change.
Well, one of the things I like about her is that she is going to be available at City Hall, and she's going to have
Yes.
I don't want to say open door policy, but it's just mainly that she's going to be available and for you to visit with her, and she's going to make extra effort not only on social media but improving the communications.
Yeah, limited government is a big thing for her, which I appreciate. She wants to restore the wide open spaces, more rural lifestyle, and prevent some of the things, the shenanigans that developers are doing in our community and to our community. So it's a shame that they actually put this race at the very end of this night. What time is it? Is it almost 10 yet?
It's almost 9.
Almost 9. Sorry, 9 is usually my bedtime, so that's why I'm a little tired. But yeah, I mean. This is ridiculous, and of course Keith Short's not going to show up. He doesn't show up to city council meetings. Why would we expect him to show up tonight? So, any closing thoughts before we close out?
I think the main thing that you need to do when you're going to vote, make sure that you are informed.
Yep.
Definitely ask questions of the candidates and all that. I think definitely would look into the P&Z meetings, specifically with Daniel Tucker, because he actually showed his leadership style at one of the meetings where he berated a business owner and acted outside of planning and zoning, the purpose of planning and zoning and being judge and jury and all that. That was absolutely ridiculous. So we're really concerned that his leadership style is not going to be the position for city council.
He's just a rubber stamp of what we already have. So if you like big government, if you like if you like the California mindset, well, then he's your guy. We'll get another Californian. William Dahl is the first Californian. We'll get another Californian on the council, and pretty soon we will have everything that makes California such a great government right here in Mclennan Chisholm. So thanks to those of you who keep voting for those liberals out there. You remember, you deserve the government that you elect.
Yeah. Well, just be proactive and know that we have a 205 widening. TxDOT's involved in that. There's only so much that the city can actually do, but we can control growth. And that's the thing that we need to, understand and wrap your mind around. That is that there is things that the city council can do with planning and zoning, and making sure that you're doing what you can with the comprehensive plan and hearing what the voices of the people really want in their city, and not just going along with, we can be just like Dallas, we can be like Rockwall, no, Mclennan Chisholm is Mclennan Chisholm, and there's a reason why you came to live in Mclennan Chisholm. I know we both came to live here for reasons, and I'm not going to not more of that, but just know that there is a process to run a city, and there's levels of government, and I'm for limited government. After all this recent pandemic, I think that we probably are all going to be on the same page.
Absolutely.
We want to be able to live freely. So definitely check out our upcoming actually Bunker Bob did his interview with Amy Hilton and Dr. Gober. So he'll be releasing that tomorrow. So definitely check that out, and it will be a great way for you to be informed when you come out to the voting box.
I just thought, I was laughing today. I wanted to interrupt you so that you could do excuse me, I'm talking. A little Harris in that. Kamala. Boy, what a train wreck that ticket is. And so be sure to get out and vote. Please encourage your neighbors to get out and vote. Who was here tonight was Senator Pat Fallon, and of course he is on the ballot for taking the place of John Ratcliffe. So make sure you vote don't skip these races. We need every vote. Don't forget Dan. We just have a bunch of races that we want to make sure that you get in there and go vote. Go all the way down the ballot. Remember, this is not a straight ticket ballot anymore. They don't allow straight ticket voting, which I think is ridiculous. But It is what it is. So I'm voting Republican all the way down. I hope you do too. And for those races that are not partisan, we're giving you tonight. You've got a taste of where the conservatives lie and where the liberals are, and they're pretty easy to spot.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that, sometimes these forums don't really get you that one-on-one understanding of that candidate. So it's a different type of moment when you're up here and having the questions flooded at you. Because you're not really sure what they're going to be asking you. So be sure to reach out to those candidates and ask them questions that you want them to be representing you on. So take that into consideration whenever you're having to consider who to vote for, and that doesn't matter if it's city council or even a school board.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here, the Iron Lady, and we will, I guess, see you next time. So everyone have a great night. This has been the Republican County Forum for candidates that are nonpartisan, supposedly, and so hope this was helpful. We'll see you next time.
Have a good night.
All right.
All right.